Look at corporate America rolling back their DEI programs as if it wasn't the tool to correct 4 centuries of racial nepotism back when DEI stood for dollars for European immigrants. And by definition, those whites didn't earn it. Don't pretend like you'd have been down with Dr. King if you hate DEI, because all it does is state in the positive what the Civil Rights Act of 1964 stated in the negative. In other words, if the 64 Civil Rights Act outlaws discrimination based on race, color, creed, religion, sexual orientation, to state it in the positive, the opposite of exclusion is inclusion based on all of the things that you would never look for since the beginning of America. Fox News taught you to hate a straw man of DEI that ain't got nothing to do with us being hooked on race. Nuh-uh, that was your ancestors. So hooked, in fact, that they codified it into law. So here's a refresher course of the laws that was meant to only benefit and enrich white folks. Maryland Doctrine of Exclusion, 1638, said that no black shall benefit from the fruits of white society. The Naturalization Act of 1790 said only white immigrants could be naturalized as citizens. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 gave white settlers eminent domain over indigenous land, even the land that was promised to them under treaties. 375 treaties were broken to benefit white people. The Dred Scott decision of 1857 said that no black man had any rights that a white man had to respect, including the right to property. The Homesteading Act of 1862 gave 1/10 of America's landmass, newly conquered from Native Americans to European settlers for pennies on the dollar. There are still 40 million people, white folks, alive today who benefited from the Homesteading Act. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 said that no Chinese person had any legal rights above a white person's dispute, among other things, that dispossessed Chinese folks of their land, Chinatowns burnt to the ground by the hundreds. And we even got to the Jim Crow era, which was basically a dystopian racial nightmare for black people involving lynch mobs and burnings and terrorism that allowed white folks to take anything they wanted from us up and into, including our very lives. Let's not forget the New Deal reforms of which black workers were largely excluded. Let's not forget that the policies of redlining have drawn the borders of many ghettos today, and cycles of poverty have compounded just like cycles of wealth compound for those who have it. Then we got war on drugs, sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine, all up into broken windows, policing, stop and frisk, everything that leads us to this very day, which you say that DEI is unnecessary. See, here's the problem. When we mention all this history, you'd be like, I didn't personally do that. Yeah, you didn't found the company, but you're a stakeholder in whiteness. That's why you get offended when we be bringing up history, because you know that you benefited from it, even though you didn't do it. Because nobody taught you the emotional intelligence to distinguish between guilt and shame. You don't know what to do with being a stakeholder in whiteness. All you do is bury it in shame, rather than looking at the guilt, understanding that it's healthy, and investing yourself in righting the wrongs so they don't repeat themselves in history like they're doing now. Let me just cut to the chase of what's going to happen. They're going to look up a decade from now, and white net worth has taken these leaps and bounds forward, and black net worth going to be zero, and they're going to look around and be like, how did we get here? And it's going to be like, yeah, racism didn't go away because you stopped tracking it. Your blind spots is big enough to drive a Tesla through and make me realize why y'all like Elon Musk so much. Elon Musk was asked by Don Lemon whether or not he thinks he benefited from his skin color. He said no. Elon Musk was born in 1971 apartheid South Africa. If Elon Musk had been born in the exact same year, in the exact same country, but on the other side of the color line, wouldn't be no Elon Musk. Elon Musk is one of them people who think black people shouldn't get reparations for slavery, even though slave owners got reparations for emancipation. Him and Donald Trump and MAGA have revived the stake of whiteness. It's at an all-time high, goddamn near. And y'all can't wait to cash it in. And that is the greatest threat to class solidarity that I can imagine. It is wild for me as a black man born in the class that I'm born into, looking at this white guy who got a lot of the same concerns as me, got liked a lot of the same things as me, can't see eye to eye with me because this MAGA whiteness token that's now really, really high value is in the way. So I really read this anti-DEI push wrong. I read it as white supremacy. It's not. It's white separatism. I don't want to focus on hiring you, white separatism. I don't want to see if you're qualified for school, regardless of what you've had to overcome, white separatism. Redlining you out of my community into poverty while I put big old gated communities around myself, white separatism. Broken windows policing, white separatism. Making sure that you are incarcerated at double the time for the same crime, white separatism. How many ways does somebody tell you that they don't want you around? And if black folks start doing for self and start talking about black first and black only, why would we be the ones that's called divisive in this situation? I would love a class solidarity movement, but the fact is, black median wealth is set to be zero by the year 2054, according to Forbes magazine, and that was before the pandemic and before this MAGA takeover. Based on the momentum of how America is going, I don't think black people have another 7 generations to survive here. And if we do, it's just more scraping at the bottom of the barrel, struggling to survive and get by, but not thriving here, if existing at all. Just because I would be okay doesn't mean I can be okay with only me being successful. But you know, I'm a firm believer that forces out of our control are always conspiring in our favor. And if this anti-DEI push and white separatism means that they don't want black folks in America, maybe our highest good is to find another place to be. Because real talk, America's karma might be coming and the Most High want us out the way. That's just my thoughts. I'm Theo E.J. Wilson. Like, follow, share, and tell me what y'all think of these comments. Holla back.